All right, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on over in the Middle East and the rest of the world, because things are getting very, very tense over there. Not too long ago, Russia sent to Syria some very advanced missiles, the S300. It's trailer-mounted. It doesn't have to be put in a silo or any kind of a fixed fortification. In fact, Soviet military doctrine for their missiles all along has been keep them mobile, so the enemy doesn't know where they are. The U.S. had a somewhat different approach. We're going to stick them in the middle of Kansas in these bomb-proof silos, so you drop nuclear weapons all over us, we'll survive, or the missiles will survive. The people will be gone, but the missiles will be there to deliver the counterstroke. So they have these S-300 missiles. Now, these missiles, Russia had wanted to sell to Iran, and the U.S. and other countries pressured Russia to say, don't do that. And Russia said, oh, all right. But we are going to sell them to Syria, and Iran paid for them. Raises the possibility some of the missiles have gone to Iran now. And it's something that you need to look at. I think the reason they're pushing for this illusion that Syria is a revolution from within is if there was a full-on frontal attack of Syria by NATO or by the U.S., those S-300 missiles are going to become a factor. And a lot of capital ships are going to start sinking. Now, Russia continues to say that an attack on Syria or Iran is a line that they will not tolerate being crossed. So we're shaping up here for a major confrontation with real, genuine, honest-to-goodness nuclear powers that do have rockets to reach the American heartland. And remember, those money junkies and those sociopaths who have no respect for you at all, they've got bunkers. They've got wonderful entire underground cities that they can live in while the radioactivity dies down. They're magnificent. They're luxurious. You paid for them. Think you're going to get invited inside? I wouldn't count on it. Now, of course, the U.S. is all in a huff about these S-300 missiles. How dare you give Syria weapons with which to defend itself against American imperialism? That's not your place here. But the U.S. is really not in a position to talk right now because a British cargo vessel, which was detained at Kotka Harbor, has been found to be carrying a shipment of American-made Patriot missiles to South Korea. 69 of the missiles are on board with all the bells and whistles, explosive warheads, fuel charges, everything. The whole system is on there. It was listed as fireworks on the ship's manifest. So now we've got the U.S. government is caught running weapons around the world illegally, undercover, gun running, in this case missile running. So the U.S. government really has nothing to say about where Russia is sending their missiles because Russia did it above board and said, yes, we're selling this weapon system to Syria. And obediently, the chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Martin Dempsey, said yesterday that the United States can successfully attack Iran if necessary, which is one of the stupidest statements I have ever heard in my life. Of course the United States can successfully attack Iran. After all, the Japanese successfully attacked Pearl Harbor. The Confederacy successfully attacked Fort Sumter. And Hitler successfully attacked Poland. Didn't work out in the end, but those attacks were successful. So Martin Dempsey is saying, yeah, we can attack Iran, and if we wind up at war with Russia and or China, what do you think's going to happen? Well, they're going to go down to those nice little luxurious bunkers that your tax dollars paid for, and sit there watching, reruns of Girls Gone Wild and sipping champagne and caviar and waiting for the radioactivity to die down. And ignoring all those American taxpayers knocking on the doors of the bunker saying, can we come in here? Because we didn't ask for any of this stuff. But for Dempsey to get out there and say we can successfully attack, the U.S. can successfully attack anybody on planet Earth. They may not survive it, but that first attack will be successful. More and more, we are seeing indications that this push for a confrontation with Iran is coming out of Israel. This, there was this full-page ad in the New York Times basically saying, Iran has missiles, Iran has nuclear weapons, and there's no evidence for any of it. It's another lie. Remember what I said about governments having to lie to rule you. They cannot persuade, they cannot treat you with respect and fairness because you're not going to agree to do what they want you to do. They're not going to come out and ask you to fund a war of conquest. They're not going to come out and ask you if you're ready to sacrifice your life or that of your children to go conquer another country because somebody in a funny-looking robe, when he's not busy diddling the little kids, is saying, the invisible man in the cloud says we must kill them. Or the oil companies are saying, it's going to be cheaper to spend a couple of million of our young people's lives than actually go out and pay fair market value for that oil. The government can't do that with you because then you would say, no, I'm not going to pay for this. I'm not going to sacrifice my life and that of my child for a pointless war of conquest to make some old codgers richer than they already are. But you see, the government doesn't really want to listen to the will of the people. They don't care what you think. Their goal is to get you to do as you are told because this is a dictatorship. But we're nice and gentle about it. Instead of forcing you to do what we want you to do, we'll just trick you into it. Doesn't that make it all better? That's what the American way of life is all about. We're going to lie to you so that you will decide of your own free will to do exactly what we want you to do. That's how the American political system works. The government comes up with whatever lies the American people are comfortable with to go on out and do as they are told, to go out and lay waste to the rest of the world, to make the world safe for private central banking and compound interest, and to make other countries exported oil an American imported product, or actually an American exported product now. It's all about grabbing markets and grabbing banks and converting the world to live the way we tell them to do. And it's all done with lies. Saddam's weapons of mass destruction. Iraq did 9/11. Well, no, actually they didn't. Iraq is helping Al-Qaeda. Actually, they weren't. Now it's Iran. They've got nuclear bombs hidden in their mosques, according to, pretty much all the GOP out there. It's all about lying you into doing what the government wants you to do. That's the dictatorship right there. We are not the land of the free and the home of the brave. We are slaves. We don't see it because that's part of the lie. But when a government lies you into war, when it lies you into surrendering your money for carbon taxes, when it lies you into throwing your children onto the bayonets of the enemy, that's dictatorship. It doesn't look like the dictatorship in the movies, that's true, but that's the whole point of the movie. To say, this is what dictatorship looks like. And we don't have that here. Therefore, this isn't a dictatorship. It's of your own free will that you're sending your child out to attack Iraq and get those nasty old weapons of mass destruction. Dictatorships come in a lot of forms. They're constantly changing in order to conceal what they are from the people. It's all lies and illusion and theater. And people don't realize they were living in a dictatorship until after it's already over and they look back. And that's where we are right now. We got to take a break for news and commercials. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.